again to the Path Radio Spotlight, courtesy of their pathradio.com. I'm your host, Guido Perino. Now, buckle up, because today we've got a real treat for you. If you grew up blasting Rough Cutt's self-titled debut in '85, or if you've ever cranked up Want To while dreaming of the Sunset Strip, you know the name Rockin' Dave Alford. He's the man behind the kit, the thunder behind the tracks, and now 40 years later, he's back with a brand new project, Rockin' Dave's Rough Cut, keeping the legacy alive and louder than ever. And joining him, a voice that needs no introduction to metal fans, Scott Board, known for fronting Cerebrus, tearing it up with No Love Lost, and now stepping up to deliver that rough cut sound with power, grit, and a range that'll blow you away. Together, they've assembled a killer band. Neil Blade, Tony Baker on guitar, Sean Love on bass, and they're taking that iconic rough cut sound into a new era with fresh music coming in 2025. A massive show lined up at the legendary Whiskey A Go-Go this October. So let's roll, because we're going deep into the stories, songs, and the spirit of the band that refuses to settle for less. Dave, Scott, welcome to the show. How are you both doing tonight?
Good, good.
Pleasure to be here, buddy. Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much. Guys, let me make sure I got this right. You're both playing out of Carolina?
South Carolina.
South Carolina. And South North, close, home to the Blue Ridge Mountains, Appalachian Trail, Myrtle Beach, Outer Banks, hurricanes, right?
Yep.
So tell me.
It's called the East Coast.
What's that, Dave?
I said it's called the East Coast.
The East Coast. Look, have you experienced any of those things? And have they bled into your music at all?
Not for me. I'll be here 4 years this October. Seen a lot of weather, but nothing any worse than I would see in Louisiana, where I'm from. So
right on.
Now, Scott, that's a whole different story, because he lives in the mountains.
Right. We're up in the high country of the North Carolina mountains, at around 4,000 feet, up on a mountain ledge up here, open mountain ridge up here, and so we see all kinds of weather, including that massive hurricane that made its way up through here back in September that really devastated a lot of people, and a lot of tragedy from that thing. But that was a very chance kind of thing that happened there, for sure. That they don't usually see that kind of weather up here. But
and the only way he could get off the mountain was to go the opposite direction.
Right. It was pretty bad. It was pretty bad back then. So I think everything's finally starting to get back to normal up here a little bit.
Right on. You saved all the music equipment and ran, right, Scott?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah.
So look, Dave, talking about the music and getting a little deeper into the music side, you've been part of the iconic bands like Rough Cutt and Rat and Hearing Aid, and you've been part of projects that's raised money for famine. But if we take it back, thinking back to the early days when you first picked up the sticks, when you sit behind the kit today, you still get that same rush as when you first started out?
Yeah, I mean, in fact, I still get excited to play. I've never been the nervous type. I'm like the guy that's in the arena at the bottom of the stairs going, "Come on, let's go." I'm just so ready to hit the stage. I'm not gonna lie, I'm older, so each time I exert that kind of energy, I feel it. It's not like it was back when I was a kid, no. But as far as, do I still get the urge and have the good vibe happening when I get behind the kit? Absolutely. I mean, ask Scott. I mean, I'm critical on myself. These guys, they have a different opinion about my ability.
Right on. It's
I
good.
think Dave is as strong a drummer as ever, and he can still really whip those skins really good. And I know he's itching to get out and let everybody see just that.
I have no doubt. And we're going to talk about one of your live shows. Scott, you came in here. Look, you've had a career that spans Cerebrus and No Love Lost, and now you're doing the Dave's Rough Cut. Stepping into Rough Cut Legacy, do you feel like you found a new home or the right home for your vocal style now?
Absolutely, I do. I think that material was definitely in my wheelhouse. With me and Dave, it's a brotherhood and a really cool writing partnership and creating partnership. And yeah, it does feel like home and like we've been playing together for many years. It really has.
Scott, is there any weight of Rough Cut history that you feel doing this as you try to make it your own?
I'm going to answer that for him. He can take anything that's thrown at him. And that's one of the reasons why we're such a good writing team, because he gets me. He understands my style. The new music, like he'll tell you in a minute, will still be in the same vein. There's nothing that he can't do, in my opinion. He's always got the best answers for when he's asked about Paul and filling his shoes and stuff like that. Go ahead, Scott. You know me. I like to talk.
What an endorsement right off the
No,
bat,
no,
Scott.
I'm sorry.
I said, what an endorsement right off the start there.
Yeah, well, thanks, Dave. I really appreciate that, man. But we do create well together, and it's it's a kind of a daunting task, I guess, to step into those shoes, but it's one that I'm confident that I can, handle the material and handle it live, and hopefully recreate the feeling and the charisma of 1985. And when we do these new songs that Dave was talking about, new material, we're absolutely are concentrating and target writing in that 1985 heavy metal style that Rough Cut had, because I really feel that that's what any Rough Cut fan would want to hear from the original or this lineup. And it's also styled that's not being tapped into a whole lot anymore, and it would be very refreshing to a lot of fans. It would to me.
Scott, you seem pretty tuned into the style and the feel of it. You got a good grip there. Dave, when you started thinking about the Rough Cut for the 40th anniversary, um, was there and you with the endorsement you just gave Scott, was there a moment you knew that this thing had to happen? Were you in a crowd and you heard music, or were you reminiscing about an old song, or was there a conversation where you went, I need to do this?
Yeah, there was. And it came from Scott. He called me up. He goes, dude, do you realize that the 40th anniversary of the first record is this year? And I got to thinking about it, and he was right. And so we decided to celebrate 40 years of the music. We do a little bit off the second record too right now, but make no mistake, how can I say this? This is literally a celebration of all that great music that Rough Cut made. We're talking Tom Allen from Judas Priest. We're talking Jack Douglas, Aerosmith, John Lennon. We're talking all the stuff we did with Ronnie. It all comes down into the beginning, and that's what we're celebrating. We're keeping all of that alive. Our first show was off the hook, unbelievable. I mean, I couldn't believe. Scott will tell you, people were singing, dreaming again and stuff. It was insane. We can't wait to get out there and spread the wealth.
Dave, you mentioned Ronnie. Does Ronnie James Dio play into your approach with the new music today?
Ronnie wasn't just a good friend to me. He was also a very good influence vocally for me because I sing. I'm not just a drummer, but he taught me a lot. He taught me what to do and what not to do, but you got to go your own way. So at the same time, he taught me how to be genuine. I'll put it that way. Got to be genuine. Don't try to fake it. Okay. And to be honest with you, I've been here almost 4 years, and it took me about 3 of them before I found these guys. Okay. I mean, it wasn't an easy road, but I mean, you try going from, COVID, then it's over, and then there's nothing else, and then you move. And I literally have gone over almost 3.5 years without playing until Scott and I, put this together, along with his bass player, Sean.
Already an incredible journey. And the more of these shows that I do, the one name that keeps coming up is Ronnie James Dio. I'm flabbergasted at how many people's lives that he touched in the music world. So it's always cool to hear like another genuine story on that. Look, you've both touched on the new music, and we've got new music coming in this year. What are you exploring in terms of the songs, or do we get a sneak peek on any titles, any lyrics, anything that you can tease us with today?
Not really, but I'll tell you the name of the new ballad. It's called "I Need Your Shelter."
Right on. I'm
It's
writing that
very
down.
much in the vein of "You Keep Breaking My Heart" or "Dreaming Again," that classic styling as we mentioned before, and but heavy, definitely heavy.
Okay. So a little
And
breadcrumb that we
and
have.
we get to and we get to take advantage of our 3-part harmonies.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of great singers in the band now, and we're going to take advantage of that all we can with many harmonies as we can. Make it really lush. It's a ballad, but it's going to be kick ass, and it's going to be very lush sounding when we're done with it, for sure.
So we got a breadcrumb. I need your shelter, and we're gonna just have to wait for the whole loaf, I guess. Um, you you also talked about the show, and I think you're referencing on April 3rd of this year, Mad Life Stage and Studios in Woodstock, Georgia. Rockin' Dave's Rough Cut. You made your live debut, and you had Scott on vocals, the twin axe attack of Neil and Tony, and I understand the energy it was supercharged there, right? The show was hot. What's a moment from the Mad Life debut where you look at each other on stage maybe and think, hey, this is something special? Does that happen? Do you have that moment?
Go ahead, Scott.
I think one of the moments was like I say, when we heard all 3 of those vocals coming into play together, like in something like "Piece of My Heart" or in "Dreaming Again" itself, which you can view on a clip of that on our YouTube page. And stuff like that was one of the first moments there where you really got the impact of how much the fans that were there really loved the music of this band. And one other special moment was when we did "Stars" at the end. And everybody in the crowd singing with us.
Right. It was like this. Every time that we were in the studio recording those albums, Paul and I, we layered a lot of vocals. Okay. There's tons of vocals in the Rough Cutt's first album. But live, it was just him and me singing. There was no fifth or a third or anything to reinforce. Even when he was ad-libbing live, it'd just be me by myself. We don't have to worry about that anymore. And it blew my mind the first time I heard all three of us. You know, all of a sudden, all the real harmonies that are on the record we're doing live, and it's huge. It's the only thing that the original band was missing when we played live.
So you guys have this moment there, but I understand, and you saw it. Some fans were singing along; they had their fists in the air. You know, what did the night really feel like for you both in terms of, was there a particular song that the crowd, you know, erupted for, and you, there was this sort of connected energy between you and the crowd? Was there one song in particular?
Well, I mean, we got a good response from everything we did, but I'd say Dreaming Again, probably. I mean, but everyone, you know, loves that song. That's the song that got the band signed.
Yeah.
And then the newest ballad, which is Black Rose, that the last lineup did. And then probably when we did We're Stars also, like Scott said, people went nuts over that. It's in our set. It's an encore. From what I understand, Wendy's thinking about doing Hearing Aid again. Okay. I've been, you know, I've been my ears to the ground too, and listening to things. I've talked to her a couple of times, and we got a lot of, how can I say, surprises coming up. We're just right now in this first stage. We did an EPK and we put it out. And according to our manager, offers are coming in now. And, you know, it's just a matter of time when every time you hear these guys that I'm playing with now, it really takes you back to the real Rough Cutt sound, because these guys do it very good. I mean, I must have went through several guitar players until I found everybody. And with the help of my manager and Scott and his bass player, we were able to finally get a unit put together. And we probably rehearsed, I don't know, maybe 10 times before we play, you know. And I was very surprised that it was as good as it was. I mean, I hadn't been on stage, like I said, in over 3.5 years. And when we did this show, it didn't take but about the first 30 seconds, and then I felt like I was right back in the saddle.
So you've alluded to the sound, right? And the riff-driven sound of Rough Cutt is a sound signature. How are Neil and Tony capturing that classic tone and still making it theirs? You know, are there any type of gearhead details or techniques that they're bringing into the show that we can geek out on? Or
Tony's, he's got a lot of the trinkets and toys, and Nathan is his name, Nathan Smith. He's got a lot of the grit, and the thing that makes it work is the same thing that made Rough Cutt work. If you remember, it was Jakey Lee first, and it was with a keyboard player. So as soon as we went dual guitar, the first thing that I said to the boys when we went that direction was we talked about Thin Lizzy. And I said, you know, come on, man, harmonies. Got to have 2 lead guitar players. I remember talking to Wendy about it. Ronnie was saying, I like this idea, you know, and sure enough, to make it work correctly, they have to be like opposite bookends, different styles from each other, you know, to where when they do come together, it's unique. And, you know, it's like inflections. It's the same thing with me and Scott. It hasn't even been a year, and he's already learned every inflection that I do. So when we sing together, we're like, it's like this. They're 2 together, just like this, you know, whenever we sing. And it's great. I was at one point in my career wondering if I'd ever find anybody that could fill Paul's shoes, and I did. So, and that's the last time I'm gonna plug you, man.
So, Scott,
Thank you, thank you.
hearing that, Scott, are there any vocal lines that push you in a new way?
Oh, absolutely. There's a line in a high note that you hit in the song "You Keep Breaking My Heart" that Dave will tell you it goes about 30 beats straight in a row that you have to hold that
37,
hold that line.
37 measures. It's
Yeah, yeah,
like,
it's amazing.
you know, and it goes for a good, you know.
Yeah, it's way up there, way up in the stratosphere, and you definitely have to grab yourself a big breath right before it. And it's like jumping in the water to swim across the pool or something, you know. But
But he
but
does
yeah,
it
it
so good.
well, thank you,
Yeah.
thank you. But yeah, that's very tough right there. And but yeah, it's one of those moments that you look forward to every night because you want to try and replicate it as best as you can, and do all you can do on it. And so it's that's definitely one of the harder uh, elements to do of
Yeah.
Paul's vocal for sure.
And definitely got to be a rush when that happens. And Dave just plugged you again. Not that I'm counting. I just wanted to let you know. He said he wasn't gonna do it no more. Look, your next show, well, it might not be your next show. You might do something before that, but definitely something big. Whiskey a Go Go this October. Rough Cut, was there, started out there. Do you feel in any way you're coming full circle?
Yeah, yeah.
Are there moments from the whiskey that you're looking forward to reliving in any
Well,
kind of way?
well, yeah. I mean, Rough Cutt was a Hollywood band.
Yeah.
Okay. I couldn't tell you how many times I played the whiskey. Anyway, it's going to be a homecoming for us, sort of say. I know. I mean, look, even me, I'm not from California.
Yeah.
Okay. But here's the deal: coming back to the whiskey, celebrating the 40th anniversary of that band that's from Hollywood is going to be a big deal. And from what I understand, fan wise, I mean, I get hit up constantly from people I know in California. They're already buying tickets, so it's going to be a phenomenal show. It's a milestone, to play the Whiskey a Go Go. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just something that you got to do. And I have yet to bring this lineup there, so we're doing it. And I'm sure we'll do a run up to the whiskey, but it'll probably end at the whiskey. I don't know. I know all these guys are excited to do that. So, and when they're excited, I get excited. So,
And the fans are excited. Look, the phrase "cut your heart out" feels like a bit of a mission statement for this band. And you've talked about honoring the spirit of Rough Cut while pushing forward. Do you see Rockin' Dave's Rough Cuts as a living, breathing band with its own identity, or still more of a tribute to the original? How do you walk that line now?
well, for me, that's all I think about. When I first sat down with these guys, I said, look, we have to learn the two records so we have a starting point. That's
Mm.
what I call it. And then, but everything is geared for new material. My engineer, excuse me, I'm a little under the weather, but he he's ready. I mean, all we have to do is finish what we started, and then we have to track it. And luckily for me, the two guitar players we work with both have their own studios, so I'll be able to do this, back and forth, just
Mm.
like I did with the EPK with Stephen in Woodstock. But where our focus is to put out new music and play, because celebrating the music, the 40 years of music, we have to do those songs, but we're all geared for new material. Tony writes some really cool riffs. So does Neil. I mean, them two guys, I've yet to be able to sit down with them and just start, what do I say, picking things out and structuring things for new songs. So far, it's just been stuff that I've been writing, and Scott too, and with the two of us are collaborating on. But I promise you this, it will be every bit as good as Rough Cutt ever was. Otherwise, I won't put it out. It's just that simple. Just like I did with Black Rose. I mean, have you heard that song? Yeah, so that's the same engineer, Robert
Nice.
Niamba.
So
He's
you're laying out integrity. You're laying out integrity for the new music, and you're paying homage to the history. Look, speaking of history, just touching on this, I want to say sorry about the passing of former bandmate Chris Hager.
Thank you.
You know, were you guys in touch or collaborating on anything prior to his
Yeah,
passing?
yeah, Chris was already, in fact, the best thing I can say is that he was going to be a special guest at the show at the Whiskey. He was already mapping out what he wanted to sit in with. You know, it hit me hard. Okay, I was one of the first people to find out about it. I texted Matt, you know, the old bass player who's playing with Piercy now, and told him, and he panicked and came back and said, "Where did you hear that?" And then it went from there. And from what I understand, the family's going to have a very small service for Chris, just family, and then Stephen Piercy and some other friends of mine, they're working on what do you call it, a memorial show or something, you know, for Chris. And I'm sure it'll be in Hollywood. I'm sure that we'll all be involved in it and stuff. But as far as like what we're going to bring to the world, it will still be in the same vein as it was when we first started. And the reason why I know this is because I'm writing it and Scott is singing it. And he is every bit, I get the same vibe from him when we're together that I did with Paul when I met him. Okay. And I mean, you know, Ronnie Dio taught me all I needed to know about vocals. And this is, I mean, it's taken that long, but I've finally got Scott on board. And you keep pushing me into plugging him. And you know, I love you, brother, but you're not talking enough.
So Scott, let's pull you back into this, right? Because it's easy. You know what? It's easy to listen to a guy like Dave, especially with all the history and the music knowledge and all the prowess that he's got, right? But you, as the new guy, right? If you could send a message directly to diehard fans, especially those who were there back there in the '80s, and you started talking about the '80s earlier, what would you say to them to get them excited for what's coming in 2025 and beyond? Would your message be the same? Would it be different? What would it be?
Well, as I said, we can guarantee you we're going to replicate this music to the standard that the fans want to hear for sure, guitar wise, bass wise, drum wise, and vocally for certain. And I did want to mention, you know, too, that we're hopeful that we can when we go out and play live, that we can go out and be embraced into the family of '80s acts, you know, that are out there traveling and playing and out there kicking ass every weekend. We hope that we can fall into that family and hopefully do some shows with these acts and you know, be considered, you know, one of that '80s family, you know, and that's one thing that we really hope to bring to this project. And as you said, you know, it's definitely celebrating the 40-year legacy of the band, and we're uplifting every member, past and present. And you know, it's about the whole legacy of the band and every member that's came through there. We want to remind and reintroduce the fans and the people who haven't heard of Rough Cutt to this great music and remind them of what a kick-ass, musicianship band that this was back in the day. It really was.
And it is again.
And
And
it
I'm
is again.
losing my voice. So we got time.
All right. So
7:30.
with old fans and new fans, you guys have a Facebook page. Is that the place that we're going to connect with you?
We have a YouTube page, and we
Yeah.
have I think it's a group page. We have Rough Cutt Rocks.
Yeah.
Well, Scott, tell him everything. Listen,
It's
I'm going-
Rough Cutt Rock
Yeah.
is our Rough Cutt Rocks. It's a group on Facebook that you can join up,
Yeah.
and also our official Rough Cutt page on Facebook. That's where all the news of
Rockin'
more
Dave's
days-
Rough Cutt.
Right, of course,
Rockin'
yeah,
Dave's.
right, of course. But that would be under the Rough Cutt official on Facebook, and easy to find, and all the information of new stuff and new material, new shows, just everything that is Rockin' Dave's Rough Cutt will be handled right there first and foremost, and of course all our social media pages will be on it immediately.
Right on. We'll get
when
that
something
into the links for you guys. Look, I want to thank you. It's been an absolute ride hanging out with Rockin' Dave Alford and Scott Board today. From the early days of Rough Cutt, tearing up the Sunset Strip, to the stories behind the hits, Dreamin' Again, Black Widow, Bad Reputation, Taker. This is a band that's lived it, breathed it, and bled for it. And 40 years later, you're not just looking back, they're charging forward. With the powerhouse lineup of Rockin' Dave's Rough Cutt, they're ready to cut your heart out all over again. If you were at the Mad Life show, you felt it in your bones. If you're heading to the Whiskey A Go-Go this October, you're about to get hot and heavy in the best way possible. And if you're just discovering them now, well, get ready, because Rough Cutt wants you. New music on the horizon, fresh riffs, soaring vocals, and that unmistakable energy that made your pump your fist to the tracks. Like, let them talk, don't settle for less, and we like it loud. These guys aren't just playing songs, they're ready to tell new stories, but honoring the past and forging a future that's as fierce and unrelenting as ever. So, whether you've been a fan since the 80s or you're just getting your first taste of Rockin' Dave's Rough Cutt, keep your eyes on the stage, your ears to the speakers, and your heart open, because this band is kicking it up a notch. Big thanks to Dave, Scott, the whole crew for joining us today. We'll catch you at the Whiskey and beyond. Until then, stay safe, stay loud. Remember, never stop dreaming again. I'll have Dave and Scott's socials in the show notes. You'll hear their new music on thepathradio.com. Thank you, fellas. Best wishes to you and the band. Take care.